Hi, this is Maggie from Crafts the Charm. Welcome to a 2-minute technique. Today's technique is painting a rust effect. This is a great effect for industrial, farmhouse, and Halloween projects. To do this, you'll want the surface you're going to paint, paintbrushes, and acrylic or chalk paint in brown, orange, red, and yellow colors. Some of my favorite colors are Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in Java and Apple Barrel acrylic paints in Burnt Umber, Harvest Orange, Bright Red, and Sunny Day. If you want the rust to look like it's coming through a painted surface, you might want another color for the surface, such as black, gray, green, or blue. If you're painting an outdoor surface and you also want it to look like it's covered in lichen or moss, you'll want a green paint, such as Apple Barrel matte paint in English Ivy Green. You might want matte Mod Podge to seal an indoor surface, and you will definitely want to seal an outdoor surface. I use a matte spray varnish, such as spar urethane. I also recommend having a reference photo so you can decide which paints you want to use and how much and where you want to apply them. You can take a field trip with your phone to take photos or look for photos on the internet. To begin, prepare your surface for painting. This might include cleaning, sanding, removing dust, or possibly even breaking off pieces of the surface if you want it to look very old. If your surface is made of several different materials, or it has a color that doesn't look at all like metal, you might want to paint the surface gray, black, or a color that metal is often painted, such as blue or green. I recommend giving some dimension to that color by painting a base color and brushing in a slightly different color while it's wet, or dabbing a slightly different color over it once it's dry. Once that is dry, I usually begin with orange, although I have reversed the orange and brown steps on some projects. Use an orange paint straight, or mix the orange with a little bit of brown, depending on how bright the orange is. Dab that over the piece wherever you want there to be rust in fairly large areas. Once that has dried, dab your brown over that, mostly covering the orange but letting the orange show through and extending a little beyond the edges of the orange. Once that has dried, dab in tiny amounts of red and yellow. Optionally, you can paint over the surface with the base color again to make the rust look like it's coming through the painted metal. Dab lightly over the edges of the rust when you do this, but don't paint over the rust. If you want to add some lichen or moss, now is the time to go in with your green paint and dab that over. And then seal your surface. You can use matte Mod Podge for an indoor surface. I recommend spar urethane for an outdoor surface. Remember that some materials, such as foam, will melt when sprayed with a spray finish, so test your material before spraying. I've been able to spray painted foam with spar urethane without any melting, but I always test an area first. Here are some of my rust projects: the edge of this industrial clock, this art I made from poker chips and a Dollar Tree frame, and this haunt fence. I hope this video helps you achieve the rust look you want. Remember that with paint you can always add more or paint over and start again if the look needs adjusting. Happy crafting!